All right, so I almost let this afternoon get away from me. Luckily, I came out when I realized that they were taking a tremendous amount of time weeding. First and foremost, they did a beautiful job in these first rows here. This stuff is gorgeous, absolutely magnificent. This is the stuff that, you do videos on and epic tales and people get jealous of and all of that kind of stuff. But it took them 2.5 hours to do those 3 beds. Now they're also very close together, so that's part of it as well. Those always take longer. It took longer to plant too. So then I showed up and I'm watching Bree, and she's down here fighting with this stuff. This stuff's brutal. But the customers, they do not pay for us to weed this area right here. They pay for us to weed that right there. This is what they pay for, is the plants and the vegetables. They're going to come off of these plants. So I stopped everybody, brought them over, got them together, and I said, look, beautiful job over here, wonderful job. That's not the purpose of this weeding. We need to get ahead of this weeding. We need to give these plants some room to breathe. Can't find them in all of these weeds. Just imagine all of that right there was covering all of this right on the waterway paths. So I told them, as you can see, look, you don't need to clean out all of this stuff. We've got a cultivator, we've got a tiller, we've got mowers that will get this stuff in time. Today is triage, and we need to get to these plants, and we need to finish this whole, probably 1/3 of an acre here. We need to finish all of that today. It's 5:30, we got it done. So they did those 3 in 2.5 hours, 2 of them, and then a 3rd one came for the last half hour of that. Then 4 of us did the next 12 rows in an hour and a half. Now, these are farther apart, but I went right down to, this is what needs to happen. We need to clean out this right here. This guy right here needs to get cleaned out. I don't want any competition around it right in here. Clean this out, leave this. Leave that in between. Leave those in between. The really tall stuff, pull it. So that's what we ended up doing. And that's where I was showing them with the new Wolf hose how to get in there, how to get around it, how to get aggressive with it, and how to move on after that. Leave this stuff out on the cursory. Don't care about it right now. The customer doesn't care about this stuff. They care about this stuff right here. This is what's going to make us the money. This is what they want to eat. So that's when we started doing that. And the crew, 4 of us were out here till 5 o'clock, and then Colton had to leave early because his mom was here to pick him up. The 3, Brett, Bree, and I finished up. We got the last part of it all done. So everything that you see weed-wise is not immediately around a plant. The stuff that's isolated and standing out, those are plants. Those are the things that we want to be able to see from afar and make sure that things are growing, things are healthy, and we need to be able to see that. And so that's what this weeding was about. These are not greens. We are not going to be eating the leaves of this stuff. It's different over there. All of the weeds need to be out of all of the beds everywhere there so we can harvest it and not have weeds in our greens. Here, we are eating the fruits that come off of these things. It's a completely different kind of weeding, and the mentality has to change. This stuff up along this line is extremely important later. That could be somebody's actual job at some point. Look, we put a task, this needs to get done. The weed whacker can get in here. We can get a tiller in here. We can get the cultivator in here. This can be just somebody's hands-on job with the new Wolf hoe, the aggressive tools that we have now. That's what that is for at that point. Not now. Now is getting the plant exposed so we can see it, and that we're mainly watering plant, and that the bindweed doesn't get into it. Yes, there is bindweed right here. Yes, that bindweed is going to take off and it's going to want to go towards the plant. That we can get to next time when we come back out here and we redo this and we redo this. We just keep doing these, but now it's going to go a lot easier and a lot faster because the weeds are going to be a lot smaller. Now we can deal with these weeds in between a lot easier. Eventually, these plants are going to be big enough that they are going to shade out the weeds, and the weeds won't even come back when we do it. And we won't even have to weed out here. So that's what needed to get done. It got addressed. There's a little bit of resistance at first. Once they started seeing what was happening, started watching how I was doing it, really picked up on it, and we blew through this thing. It's a great team effort.